President Bola Tinubu sues for partnership with state governments in delivering critical infrastructure.
We will continue to partner with your state to deliver shared prosperity in Anambra and all Nigerians.
Experts optimistic of federal government's move to strengthen Nigeria's domestic economy and promote local industries. And Pope Leo XIV prays his historic papacy brings light to dark areas in the world. Hello and welcome to the news desk at 3 on NTN News 24. We are reaching you live from Abuja. I am Chinenye Moi. Pope Leo XIV has promised to bring light to dark and suffering areas in the world. This was during his historic first Mass celebrated in the Sistine Chapel a day after his election. Ekene Ndulue reports.
Pope Leo XIV has celebrated his first Mass in the Sistine Chapel, where he was elected less than 24 hours earlier, and prayed that his historic papacy can help the Catholic Church be a beacon illuminating the dark nights of this world. Leo XIV, the former Cardinal Robert Prevost and the first U.S. Pope, looked serene as he said the Mass in the famous frescoed chapel with the same cardinals who chose him to be the 267th pontiff and the successor to Pope Francis. Dressed in relatively simple white and gold vestments, Leo XIV, who was born in Chicago but spent 2 decades as a missionary in Peru, said a few words in English before continuing his homily in fluent Italian. He painted the spiritual picture of the church he would like to see under his papacy. The Pope said he was elected new head of the world's 1.4 billion Catholics, so the church can be a beacon to reach areas suffering a lack of faith. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulue, NTA News.
And President Bola Tinubu congratulates His Holiness Pope Leo XIV on his election as the Bishop of Rome and leader of the Roman Catholic Church, applauding the conclave for choosing American Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost as the 267th Pope. A statement by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, says the president shares his joy with the Catholic Church in Nigeria over this historic election, noting that the new pontiff's message of faith and hope is already resonating worldwide. The president recognizes the strong relationship between Nigeria and the Holy See, highlighting their collaboration in peace building, education, healthcare, and technology. He believes Pope Leo XIV's election represents a new chapter for the Church, emphasizing love, humanity, and charity for the underprivileged. President Tinubu prays for God to bless the new leader with health and wisdom to promote peace and love globally. Earlier in the news, we were joined by Reverend Father Augustine Okochi, the Deputy Secretary General, Catholic Secretariat of Nigeria. He shared his thoughts as presented.
The current state of the Catholic Church is really good, and I'm very happy that a Pope has been elected who will be able to continue where Pope Francis has stopped. The Church is very optimistic that with the appointment of with the election of this new Pope, Pope Leo XIV, that the future is indeed very bright, and there are reasons to hope for the best going forward. So, with the election of this Pope, a good choice has been made, and leaving background, you can see that he's a humanitarian, he is very pastorally oriented, he is a philosopher, he's a mathematician, he's a canonist, and he's an Augustinian. And going by the name that he has chosen, Leo XIV, you will see that it's a very powerful statement, because when you go back to Leo XIII, you will see that he was the one that laid the doctrinal foundations of the Catholic social teaching with his groundbreaking encyclical known as Rerum Novarum on the rights of workers. This is the foundational document for the Catholic social teaching, and it concerns and emphasizes the dignity of workers and condemns the dangers of unchecked capitalism and socialism. So this is somebody who is a pastor who is ready to engage with the society at large. Thank you. The church is already doing that. That is actually the social teaching of the church. That's also the social mission of the church. We are engaged in the upliftment of the dignity of the human person. The church is into the running and establishment of hospitals, schools, and other agencies that usually, help to uplift the dignity of the human person, to alleviate the sufferings of our people. Apart from the government, I think the church should be one of the largest employers of labor in the larger society. So the church has a social mission which it continues to work on and to improve on. So with a pope like Leo XIV, I think we continue to search. The church will continue to search for ways and means of more carrying out this social mission and social responsibilities more effectively. I would like to convey a message of hope. Message of hope and joy, high expectations. To be honest with you, I think everybody should be happy because better things are coming. And God has provided his church with a leader that inspires optimism, that has the training, the background, and everything that is needed to move us forward. So there is hope going forward. So let us be happy and let us pray for the success of the new Pope, successful leadership led by the Spirit of God, and let us pray for the progress of the church and humanity.
Away from religious matters now, President Bola Tinubu has promised to intensify partnership with state governments in delivering shared prosperity to the people of Nigeria, as building critical infrastructure across the country remains the determination of his government. The president said this as he addressed people of Anambra at the Alex Ekwueme Square, Awka. State House correspondent Musbal Dan-Wahab reports that the president inaugurated some legacy projects executed by Governor Chukwuma Soludo of Anambra State.
Third visit of President Tinubu to the southeast since assumption of office. It was a unified moment with governors from across the geopolitical zones joining the chief host to receive the president.
God of honor!
The commander-in-chief was also received by a detachment of the Nigerian military. Warm atmosphere in Awka. The strategic 50-year developmental plan of Anambra is beginning to come into fruition, with some legacy projects of Governor Soludo providing solution to the infrastructural need of the state. The former Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Chief Emeka Anyoko himself, welcomed the president at the Institute of International Studies and Diplomacy, built in Unizik and named after him by the state government. The president also inaugurated the Solution Fund City and a new government house started and completed under the first term of the governor. And then, President Tinubu returned to the Alex Ekwueme Square, where he came to seek for support ahead of the 2023 presidential election, this time as the sitting president. The president commended the governor's efforts in addressing insecurity and on other projects which he described as solid foundation for the growth of the state.
With our progressive ideological alliance, we will continue to partner with your state to deliver shared prosperity in Anambra and all Nigerians.
Highlighting various programs and policies of his administration and reforms which he said are already building investors' confidence, President Tinubu assures the people of Anambra of more federal government's interventions, including rectification of the rail line and the National Gas Master Plan that for now bypass the state.
I'm standing before you that this already designed and Ministry of Transportation is aware to include the connection in the master plan, and it will see attention. Our diversity must lead to prosperity. We must work together.
Thank you for all the hard work you put in to move Anambra and Nigeria forward. We know the state of the Nigerian economy with all its unsustainable dysfunctionalities when you assumed office. You had the courage to tame the Atlantic Ocean in Lagos, and now you have the courage. You are courageously and systematically getting the economy to work again. There is still a lot of work to do, we know, but there is no doubt that in less than 2 years, important building blocks are already falling into place.
Another feather to the cap of the president, as the Council of Traditional Rulers, Anambra State, conferred on him the title of Dike Simba, translating to a warrior from another origin. The president is back in Abuja. In Abuja, Musbah Al Wahab, NTA News.
Guests on NTA's program Good Morning Nigeria believe strategic focus on enforcement, monitoring and capacity building is required for the robust implementation of Nigeria's Nigeria First procurement policy. Their key recommendations include adopting e-procurement technologies system to enhance transparency and allow real-time tracking of procurement activities, reducing corruption risk, providing cheaper capital and sustainable electricity generation. Lydia Sampson reports.
The Nigeria First policy mandates that all federal procurements prioritize Nigerian-made goods and services, barring imports unless formally waived by the Bureau of Public Procurement. The guests acknowledged that this policy needs the buy-in of state governments, MDAs, public and private sectors, and citizens alike. They suggest independent audits and regular procurement reviews be institutionalized to detect non-compliance and irregularities early and serious enforcement of compliance.
Public procurement can be a very important tool to drive local production. It can be a very important tool to draw investment into the country. It is a very important tool to establish standards of goods, works and products that we receive into the country. And so I think this is a good opportunity.
In the Renew Hope agenda and with the appointment of the several professional guys at the BPP, it cannot be a better time than now. And I believe that government have to live by their own words. They have to set standards and show example.
Sanctions for violations, the guests insist, must be clearly defined and strictly applied to deter misconduct.
The time for talks is over. All these talks, this should not happen. We have come now to Nigeria First. The talks of before now should be over. Let's now go into action. People who are not doing it right, they shouldn't be allowed to continue doing it wrong.
They seek more capacity building for procurement officers to ensure effectiveness and also insist MDAs should be held accountable. The guests also noted that public participation and civil society engagement can provide additional oversight and pressure for compliance. Collaboration with international procurement bodies and adoption of best practices from successful countries, guests on Good Morning Nigeria believe will help Nigeria tailor effective monitoring mechanism. With deliberate measures, they noted, the Nigeria First policy can stimulate local industries, reduce import dependence, and drive sustainable economic growth. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
This is the news desk at 3 on NTA News 24. And still to come, Health Minister Professor Ali Pate and 2 other Nigerians make times 100 influential people in global health. Details of this and more when we return.
I am Oluremi Tinubu, the global and national Stop TB champion. Many people have asked why I've chosen to champion the fight against a disease like tuberculosis. My reason stems from a deep personal experience. I once had a friend who unfortunately fell ill and concealed the nature of his sickness until it was too late. Eventually, after he passed, we discovered he had tuberculosis. Sadly, due to the stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease, he would not speak up or seek for help. His death was a painful reminder that we could have intervened and saved a life if only we had known earlier. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that primarily affects the lungs, but can also impact other parts of the body. Being airborne means anyone, regardless of their socio-economic status, can contract it. In Nigeria, 1 person dies of TB-related illness every 7 minutes, amounting to 206 deaths every day. Globally, 1 person succumbs to TB every 25 seconds, which is a staggering 3,456 lives lost daily. These deaths are entirely preventable because TB is curable if detected and treated early. If you or someone you know has been coughing for 2 weeks or more, coughing up blood, experiencing night sweats, or losing weight drastically, it might be TB. Please visit the nearest government hospital or primary health care center for proper diagnosis and treatment. TB treatment is free in all government and some private health facilities. Let us also remember not to stigmatize or discriminate against TB patients or those who have been treated for TB. Individuals who have been cured of TB cannot infect others. I call on all stakeholders, especially the private sector, to join us in the fight to end TB in Nigeria. Together, we can make a difference. Remember, TB anywhere is TB everywhere. End TB by 2030. Yes, we can.
Welcome back. The need for Nigerian engineers to adopt innovative solutions to disruptive human activities has been harped on. This came to the fore at the 4th inaugural lecture of Nile University of Nigeria in Abuja. Francis Udojo reports.
The ever-changing world is characterized with several human activities that pose as challenges to humanity. These challenges range from economic, technological, environmental disruptions, digital misinformation, as well as social and cultural disruptions. The NILE's 4th inaugural lecture with the theme, Empowering Society, the engineer's mandate to innovate in a disruptive world, is a pathway to raise engineers that will help curb current challenges and mitigate future problems in our changing world.
The engineer must realize that the world is changing. The old world order that we know it has disappeared or is fast disappearing. We have to respond to the challenging times, and we have to respond in a way that we provide solutions, not only for today, but for the future. And as professors, as educators, we are duty-bound to produce the next generation of engineers who will do the same.
Professor Dili Dogo is the Vice Chancellor of Nile University of Nigeria, Abuja.
We all agree that we live in a disruptive society. Therefore, we have to be innovative, we have to be creative, we have to be impactful, and we have to help government and society and the private sector so that together we can build a country of our dreams.
Proponents of the lecture expect collaborative efforts of policymakers and other stakeholders in actualizing the goal of the gathering. Francis Udocho, NT News.
The Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, has described the inclusion of the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, in Time's prestigious list of the 100 most influential people in global health for the year 2025 as a landmark recognition and a testament to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's visionary reforms in Nigeria's health sector. In a statement, NMA President Professor Bala Audu stated that the Coordinating Minister of Health has, since his appointment, led the implementation of dynamic reforms. Notable achievements include the rollout of the Nigeria Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative, the rehabilitation of thousands of primary health centers nationwide, and the recruitment and training of tens of thousands of frontline health workers across all local government areas of the Federation. A central pillar of Professor Pate's strategy has been the aggressive pursuit of private and international investment in localized health sector affiliated manufacturing in biologics, vaccines, and pharmaceuticals. The NMA also acknowledged the recognition accorded to Dr. Ladidi Bako Ayebusi, Director of Nutrition from Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, on the 2025 Times 100 Health List. Young stakeholders from across the 19 northern states of Nigeria are advocating collective efforts to tackle numerous challenges facing the region. This was during an interactive meeting organized by Arewa 100 Focus. The meeting saw stakeholders exchange ideas on how to achieve stability in the region. This is coming ahead of the Arewa conference slated for July 5th in Kaduna. The group is seeking to rub minds with older stakeholders from the region on the way forward.
The leaders that has done all this sacrifice in the name of Arewa and the nation at large, some of them are getting all their of age now. So basically, they really need the young people to come and stay by their side and complement what they are doing. So that's what brings about our thinking. There is higher time that we should talk to ourselves. We don't need anybody to talk to us.
The North has to play a significant role to be able to stabilize the country and stabilize the whole sub-region. And that is why any sensible person, whether inside the North or outside the North, should be able to push and promote a gathering like this to make sure that we have a stable North, a prosperous North, and also a North that will be able to be a responsible member of the nation.
Universal Basic Education Commission (UBEC) has outlined 4 strategic pillars that will ensure inclusive, equitable and high-quality education for every Nigerian child. Kelvin Samuel reports that this was made known by the Executive Secretary Aisha Garuba at the start of the 2-day UBEC management retreat held in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State.
The 2-day management retreat organized by Universal Basic Education Commission is to keep participants updated on strategies adopted by the Commission to ensure enhanced quality of education across board. Executive Secretary UBEC Aisha Gaba notes that though the Commission has recorded significant growth, a lot is required through collaborations of all stakeholders in the sector.
To ensure that UBEC is repositioned to make a significant contribution in this particular agenda by achieving universal basic education for all children in Nigeria, regardless of their background or geographic location.
The Commissioner for Education, Akwa Ibom State, Professor Obomo, while commending UBEC for their determination in enhancing basic education in the country, notes that the state government is ready to synergize with the Commission for the benefit of the Akwa Ibom child.
Surprising that most of the policies of UBEC, policies of the federal government has to do with education at the basic level, at the primary level, aligns almost seamlessly and perfectly with the vision of His Excellency Pastor Mwabasino, and it will be quite very easy for UBEC and the federal government to interface with the state government and roll out a whole lot of plans that would help to lift millions of Nigerians and those in Akwa Ibom State out of ignorance.
The 2-day retreat, which featured paper presentations, had as its theme repositioning UBEC for sustainable basic education delivery in Nigeria. In Uyo, Kelvin Samuel, NTA News.
Nigeria has reaffirmed its recognition of the People's Republic of China as the sole legitimate government representing the entire Chinese territory. This reaffirmation came at a forum organized by the Chinese Chamber of Commerce in Abuja, where participants urged media professionals and the public to recognize Taiwan as an inseparable part of China. Suleiman Abdul Wahab reports.
Sometimes you read in the media, Nigeria has broken diplomatic cooperation with Taiwan. It never existed.
At the heart of Beijing's foreign policy is the clear position there is only one China. Reinforcing this stance in Nigeria, Chinese political chief Xu Songbo, along with scholars in diplomacy and global affairs, stressed that Taiwan remains an undivided part of Chinese territorial integrity. They encouraged Nigerian institutions, including media, to align with this position in the interest of peaceful diplomacy and mutual respect between nations.
On February the 10th, 1971, the People's Republic of China and the Federal Republic of Nigeria established diplomatic relations and issued the joint communique between the two countries stating that the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria recognizes the government of the People's Republic of China as the sole legal government representing the whole of the Chinese people.
Nigeria has continued to uphold the One China principle because it respects the territorial integrity of the People's Republic of China.
Speakers at the forum also emphasized the thriving economic partnership between Nigeria and China. They pointed to infrastructure projects, trade agreements, and investment opportunities.
We have to project Nigerian foreign policy. We have to project our One China principle.
A joint statement released after the forum reaffirmed commitment to the One China policy as endorsed by the United Nations and called on African nations to maintain united diplomatic fronts.
Many countries, including Nigeria, including the almighty United States, adhere to the One China policy.
The China Chamber of Commerce concluded that upholding this policy not only promotes global stability but also solidifies the bonds of China-African relations. In Abuja, Suleiman Tobu Abdul Wahab, NT News.
And that concludes the news desk at 3 on NTN News 24. Many thanks for watching. I am Chinenye Mui.